Welcome to Empirical Peapod.
Sometimes I think about, because I have them and I see them, the old prom pictures from when we all went to senior prom.
Oh, yeah.
And like everybody's so excited except for me and you. We're just a couple of sour pussies. And I'm like, I don't know how we even had friends.
And maintained them.
Yeah. So, well, couldn't tell you the last time I talked to Maureen.
I haven't probably since high school or early college.
She's on my Facebook. Like she married that gentleman from prom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got kids now. And everything seems awesome, which is great. I still talk to Julia once in a while. I've been trying to get her on the show since its inception, but she's successful and very busy and has a whole life going on. But still, like, I want to be important to her life, which I have no bearing on her life whatsoever. We were friends. I have a lot of fond memories hanging out at the farm, like when we were in junior high. You didn't go to junior high with us, right? Or did you?
No, I went to Thompson.
One of the Thompson kids. Did you live in Boulder Hill?
Yes, I grew up in Boulder Hill.
Have you lived there your whole life? Like you started there?
Pretty much my whole life. I currently do not live there. My dad still lives in the same house, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you, hashtag spoilers, you moved to the weirdest, worst place.
The middle of nowhere.
A place where it's 3 towns, and you have to say all 3 to make one town.
A place where the CVS closes at 8.
Ugh. One of my pet peeves is towns that shut down early. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, even if I'm not doing anything, I need to know that there's somebody out there if I need something.
Yeah, it's a little inconvenient.
Yeah.
But it's not completely terrible, but not completely great either.
Yeah. I know there's a Dairy Queen on the Strip.
Yes, there's a Dairy Queen.
When I worked at True Green, I ran leads down there. That was 23 years ago. It was still developing. And all that was, there was a Dairy Queen. And it was a particularly hot summer, and they would not give you water. You had to buy even a cup of water for $1.
That's dumb.
Well, you gotta exploit. You gotta make money somehow. People are jerks. You said kind of when you said you've been in Boulder Hill your whole life.
Well, when I was young, before I started school, we actually lived in Batavia.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, guess who's still an asshole? Me. We're here with Eric and Dillenburg. Yeah. I mean, you could have told. You probably noticed from the name of the episode on the internet, but still, it's weird to not introduce them.
The official introduction.
Yeah, the official introduction.
We're officially here now.
And whatever bullshit synopsis I made up an hour before it went live because I hate writing them. They go live at 4 a.m. on Monday, and like Sunday night, I'm sitting there like, God damn it, I don't want to do this. But so you started here. We're in Geneva. Batavia is next door. You started in Batavia?
Yes.
How long did you live in Batavia?
We moved right before I started school.
Oh, okay.
So right before kindergarten. So 4, 5, however old you are.
So it wasn't too bad of them. Like, I'm sure. Did you have friends in the neighborhood? A little bit.
I have vague memories.
Yeah.
Of a friend. But it's like you're so young. It's it was like an apartment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like townhome apartments.
So was that your first move into an actual house then?
Yes.
Then you guys stayed there for forever.
Well, the first house that we moved into, we lived there, but that's not the house that my parents bought, where my dad still lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, you rented a house for a little bit?
My parents, yeah.
Yeah.
The first house was on Saugatuck.
Oh, these are very famous streets out here. Where's the house that you guys lived in for most of your life?
On Marnell.
Oh, a couple streets over, eh? It's not bad. Which elementary school did you go to then?
I went to Long Beach.
Yeah? Do you remember? Did you grow up like? Were you friends with anybody through high school from Long Beach, or did you kind of shift as time goes on?
Um, I mean, I don't want to say shift. I think it was just as you got older, like you made different group friends.
As you got older, you shifted your friendships.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, because it's like when you start like in a grade school, and then it's like
Yeah.
we went to Thompson,
Right. Yeah. So
which
people,
was
yeah.
like Long Beach, Boulder Hill,
Right.
and I don't know if anybody. No, nobody from like what was the third grade school?
I have no
Oh.
idea. I was out in. I didn't come there until
But in
junior high.
in any case, it's like we went to Thompson, and then it was like
Yeah.
2 grade schools came together. So it's like you're meeting all kinds of new people, and then you
Right.
go from there to like high school, where like 2 junior highs were combining.
Yeah. Oddly, too, Seasons Ridge, which is next to.
Yeah, they went to
Trauber.
Trauber, which I thought was so wild.
It's insane to me. I still don't. I wish I would have somebody from the city on the show just to be like, explain it to me, because this is stupid.
Yeah, I remember that they went to Trauber, which didn't make sense.
I
But
wonder if Thompson was just more full, like it was more saturated in general with students, as opposed to Trauber. That could be it. There's a lot of people in Boulder Hill.
Do you remember Club Friday?
Yeah,
I remember Club Friday.
So I never did any extracurriculars or like anything that I had to do outside of school, but I was close friends with my friend Allison, and one time I went with her because she was in Club Friday, and it was at Thompson, and it was the only time I interacted with the Thompson people. But here's the thing, because she's very active and tall basketball player and amazing. I sat up against the wall like a jagoff and didn't talk to anybody, which is probably what you'd find me doing now if I still had to go to Club Friday.
You're just people watching.
Did you do Club Friday?
I remember doing it. Yeah, I
We go back and forth, right, between Thompson and Trauber.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I miss Trauber, but it was a fun time. And I made I'm still friends with a lot of people from then. Do you make friends in Thompson then? Like, you said that you kind of shift here and there. Going from Thompson, and then to high school, did you hold on to any of those friends?
There are 2 people that we went to high school with that I'm in, like, fairly regular communication with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still, do you consider yourself social? Were you social in grade school, junior high? Did you have a coming out of your shell moment? Because you were very shy. I remember you being very shy. So here's what I like to do in the show. Let me tell you about your life, as I've decided it is. You're very shy in high school.
I agree.
Nailed it. Did you have a coming out of your shell moment, or?
I think the coming out of my shell moment probably came in adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like now you could, just even by the way you speak, like before we got on, I was like, you speak loud. And that's not any kind of insult. That just means people can hear you. Like now you're matter of fact. Like, whereas I feel like back in high school you were, mousy's not the word, but you're just like,
Timid.
Timid. There you go. Yeah, that works. I also remember I gave you the nickname Irk.
Yes.
Which, I don't know. Just makes sense to me somehow. Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do after high school, like during high school?
I did, yes. And when I got to physics my senior year, I had to rethink everything.
Really? What were you? Which direction were you trying to go?
I wanted to be a planetary scientist.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and physics barely passed. I think I may have only passed because the teacher thought like he felt bad for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got there. I was like, guess we're gonna have to rethink life.
Did that put enough of a bad taste in you? They were like, physics. I do not want to go that route anymore. If I have to do more physics.
I think I just didn't succeed in the class because the way that we were learning things, I was trying to apply it like strictly to like astronomy and space and all that stuff, and it just like they're talking about force and work, and so I'm like, I just couldn't take that and apply it to why I was taking the course.
Right.
So it didn't make sense to me. And I think that's why I probably struggled as hard as I did.
Yeah.
And just didn't care as much as I could have.
Right. Do you think that, so after high school, did you go to college?
I did. I went to college for photography.
Really?
Yes.
What a pivot. Do you have a degree in photography?
I do. I have an associate's.
Yeah. Now, you work at a car dealership.
Yes.
So.
So it all makes sense.
Right.
No, well, actually, like, photography kind of, like, came very quickly.
Yeah.
After, it was either, like, towards the end of high school. I don't remember if it was a summer course, but I took a photography class at Wabansie.
I'm going to say a really old sentence. Didn't you work at Picture People?
Yes,
in
in
the
high
mall?
school. Yes, I did.
Yeah, because
And part of college, too.
Really?
Yep.
Was that before or after? Did you ever work? I thought you worked at By the Way.
That was before.
That was before.
Yes.
Because I remember the girls worked at By the Way, and Josh. And man, we used to steal so much candy. That was the best.
Yeah, we all did.
It was so good though. Just go and get bags of stuff. I'd be all right. I'm gonna have it all at school like for the next 2 weeks. That's wild. But so you have this degree. You say you took it in Wabansie after high school and then went to college. So you have a degree in it, but
Yeah.
you never decided to do anything with it, or?
Well, I took the course. I feel like it was probably a summer course because then, like, once I like enrolled for the next like school year,
Yeah.
I ended up having to go to COD because Wabansie didn't offer photography as a major.
Oh, really?
And it was like it all just kind of happened like looking back on it, it happened like very quickly, and it was like kind of like, well, I guess that's what you do. Like, you graduate high school and then you go to college. And
Yeah.
between me and my brother, like, he didn't go to college. Like, my mom didn't go to college. My dad didn't go to college. So it was like, what are you gonna do? You're going to college.
Right.
And so I'm just like, I don't know. I just took a photography class. How about that?
Yeah.
And but the thing, I don't regret it. It was a lot of fun. I did some really cool things. But what I learned through everything was I don't necessarily want to do like weddings or portraits.
Right.
Like, I would rather just do like my own artistic stuff and have like gallery shows. Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that I like to do.
Do you still go out and take photos?
No, but I really want to get back into it.
Do you still have a camera?
I have a film camera. Because also because digital was like just becoming a thing when I was in college. Like, literally everything was like all like, for lack of a better word, like analog. Everything we learned was analog. And then it was like, you have to, like, one requirement was like digital photography.
Yeah.
And there was like a second digital photography class where that was like an option. It was an elective.
Yeah.
But you had to, that was like the only two.
I by no means dislike digital photography, but there's just something about film. Because I still have, back when Dana used to work at the film place, I can't remember what it's called now. But I always had nice cameras, nice 24 millimeters with when the APS was coming out, and she always had these amazing 35 millimeters. We would always go out to the lake and just like take a bunch of artistic photos, quote unquote. Like, but I love that stuff. What do you say you don't have a camera? What kind of camera do you have still? Is it SLR?
Yeah.
35 millimeter?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Probably an antique now.
Oh my god. Probably.
I don't even know where to start to get film for it, to be honest. Like, I feel like there's not Photoshop.
You have to
anymore.
find like a niche, like specialty
I'm
store.
sure Amazon
now.
has them, but like as far as going to a brick and mortar, I feel like
Yeah.
they're all gone.
Yeah, but I mean, like, digital was like just becoming a thing, and I just remember like learning with like the color film, the black and white, developing like everything, like the overhead projectors with, you know, making your own pictures, developing your own pictures. It was just it felt more gratifying than just like sitting at a computer.
Yeah. It's crazy too when you start learning like film exposure and stuff. Also, when you're like, everything's dictated by 3 colors, and you're like, this doesn't even make sense. Just the cyan, yellow, and magenta, and you're like, that's creating everything I see. Just various like pigments of that.
But yeah, it's I like I said, I don't regret it. I did some really cool things. I still have a big, huge storage bin of all of my photo stuff, all my photo books, all my projects, like everything I did, like all the film.
You think you'll go back to it?
Oh, I do sometimes. Like when I get bored, I'll just go into the spare bedroom, like, let's see what this box is up to.
Do you have a hobby like outside of that? Like, because that's like would be a cool hobby. Do you have hobbies in general?
I'm gonna sound like an old lady, but I like to crochet.
That's awesome. On the bus, there's this like 12-year-old kid. Like I think he was. Oh, he's an 8th grader, so probably 13 or 14. But he was this like kid that was, for lack of a better term, kind of ghetto, but like good kid. And he would just sit on the bus and crochet. And I thought he's like, you can make fun of me. I'm like, I would never make fun of you. This is amazing. Just on the ride, he would crochet a whole cell phone holder for himself.
Jeez.
I'm like, that's amazing that you picked that up or taught yourself. Like, that's fantastic, man.
Yeah, my mom taught me the basic stitch, and like anything beyond that was like all YouTube.
Yeah. That's why I'm always like, I'm always one YouTube away from being amazing at something. Have you crocheted a lot, like things that you use? They were like, I need a jacket or a hat.
I have been working on this blanket for a very long time. I used to, when I first moved if I can spit it out, when I first moved to where I'm at now, my apartment didn't have, it had a washer and a dryer for like everybody's use. Yeah. But they were just garbage, so I just went to the laundromat. And I would take it with me to the laundromat, and I would sit there and crochet. And I did that, but then it got too big. And I was making a blanket. I guess I should mention that. I was making a blanket, and then it started getting too big, and I couldn't like bring it out of the house. Yeah. And it's actually sitting still unfinished.
How long has it been?
An embarrassing amount of time.
I would say like a couple years.
Yeah.
Gross. What color is it?
Purple.
Nice. Just solid color, or
yeah, solid color. But it ended up being much, 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 much larger than I had anticipated.
King size blanket.
That's literally pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is just gonna be like about a full size blanket. Like no, it's gigantic.
That's awesome though. Bigger blankets
and also
always better.
like it's just like your hand, like it turns into a claw. Yeah. After a while, and it's like you just need to like flex your hand and your fingers after holding the crochet hook for too long.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that I could do while just watching TV, like mindlessly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you can get so much done. Just like once you it's like muscle memory. Yeah. Like you can just do it without even looking, and then you're just have a giant ass blanket.
Yeah, I like giant ass blankets. I like to cozy up because I always keep fans on because I like to have the air moving. But then I get cold, and I'm like, I like to cozy up in a wonderful blanket.
Yeah, the limit of too many blankets does not exist.
Yeah. I've always wanted a weighted blanket.
I considered getting one. Yeah? Yeah, but I didn't.
Yeah. I'd be curious if it would help sleep or if it would help by tossing and turning. I get uncomfortable pretty fast when I'm sleeping, which is not great. You said your mom taught you to crochet? Initially, at least? Yeah. That had to be... When was that?
It was before 2007.
Right.
How old was I? Oh, I was 23.
Okay, so it wasn't like you were taught when you were a kid.
Yeah, so no, not when I was a kid. Probably, I would say maybe like late teens, early adult.
Yeah. Did you always get along with your parents?
I mean, as you know, as normal people do, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say like we were best friends, but we weren't like. on the outs all the time. Like we weren't
Yeah.
arguing or fighting or.
I'm always the reason I was curious is because like I had a tendency to act out or make myself the center of attention in school, right? Like given the right situation at least, and so I'm always curious if somebody that's more timid at school, if like because it doesn't mean your life is better at home, it just means that you're reacting to it differently, right? So I'd be curious if like you're going through the same stuff the rest of us are, just processing it differently and kind of more internalizing it instead of like acting out. But it doesn't sound like it was anything crazy in the first place, though.
No.
Yeah, it must be nice to come from a healthy house. Yeah. When did you move out on your own?
The first time, I guess I left home kind of late, but that was because my mom was sick and it was kind of like we were taking care of her, so it's like I stayed at home. Kind of
late? I feel like
I was 31.
Yeah, that's not. I still live at home.
But
I didn't like the way you snickered at that.
No. If I did not mean to. I honestly didn't mean to. No, because, yeah, I mean, between, like, 2003 and 2007
yeah,
was when my mom, like, really needed more, like, more, I don't want to say monitoring in a bad way.
Yeah.
But she needed people to be, like, more available.
I thought at some point you were training to be a nurse.
Yes, I did actually become a CNA.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't make that up.
No.
Is that after...
Yes.
Obviously after the photography stuff and everything like that. So where did you, after getting your degree, you said you worked at Picture People a little bit in college, but after you left that, what were you doing for work?
My dad is a diesel mechanic, and he's worked at the same place for forever. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember exactly why I was looking to leave the Picture People, but I ended up getting hired. At first, it was part-time.
Yeah.
In the service office, just doing like filing.
Oh, nice.
You know, just little odds and ends.
Still, once you get your foot in the door, that's nice.
Yeah. And then once I graduated college, I was basically doing like the same thing, but like full-time. And then very shortly after that, one of the ladies in the accounting office was retiring, so they just basically trained me to do her job.
Wow.
So then I started doing accounts payable.
Yeah. So that's crazy, because if we fast forward, isn't that what you do now?
No.
No.
I still work in the accounting office for a car dealership, but I don't specifically do accounts payable.
Right. Okay. So in between that time, then while you're there, is that when you're like, I'm going to go for the CNA certification?
I was actually there for almost 10 years.
That's too long to have a job. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was there for almost 10 years. And what actually made me want to go into healthcare was taking care of my mom.
Oh, right. Because she was getting sick.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I want to be able to help on a different level.
Yeah. And so then that's what I did. I took the course, I got certified, and I started the first nursing home I started at was so ghetto.
Yeah?
Like, it was awful. Like, 2 weeks in, I gave my 2 weeks notice.
I was like, yeah. What town was that in?
Aurora.
That makes sense. I think it's tough to work in a nursing home in general. I remember, I think we were still in high school. I think Randy Mulasek, I like to call her Mulachek. She worked at the Tillers, I believe, and I applied there because our families are old friends. And I remember in the interview, they're like, "Do you think you can handle working with old people and like taking care of them?" And stuff. And I was like, I was so immediate with my like accidental honesty, where I was just like, "Nope, I don't know why I'm even here." So that didn't work out. But my sister worked there years later, I think, as a CNA, and she worked like the third shift. It is murder on your body. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I quit.
Yeah, so you made it 2 weeks there. Did you just switch to a different place or?
I actually didn't even have anything lined up when I quit because leaving Kaufman's, like I had my 401k. And it was like when I quit, I could have either like rolled it over into like an IRA or something, or I could have cashed out and just took whatever money was in there. So that's what I did.
Penalized, but yes.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did because I was like 20. I was young.
I've pulled my 401k so many times at this point.
And so I had like a little lump sum of money.
Call that a little nest egg.
Yeah, I had a little nest egg to live off of, and I was just like, I hate it here.
But you weren't on your own at this point anyway.
No.
So like, it's nice to have your own money, but still like.
Yeah, but I didn't have anything lined up when I quit, and I was just like, well, I have my 401k money that I can live off of and pay my bills for a little bit.
Yeah.
But that place was terrible. I was like, nope. Give my 2 weeks notice.
Did you end up falling back into another retirement home type situation?
I did, just because it's like I couldn't go back to like where I just left.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious if you
like,
you
hey,
work,
I'm back a month later.
You work for the certification, and then after 2 weeks, you're like, nope.
Yeah. So then I ended up going to a different nursing home, which was significantly better, and I was actually there for about 3.5, 4 years.
Isn't it almost heartbreaking seeing the difference in those places? Where you're like, oh my God, like the things that these people have to deal with, and they can't do anything about it, and nobody seems to care or want to fix it. Especially like you work at a county home versus a place that's actually like
that was the difference. The first one was Medicare funded.
Right.
Second one was completely private pay. Families paid for them to
it's
be
like
there.
night and day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize that until you see it, and you're like, God damn. This is crazy.
Yeah, so the other one, I mean, not just for that reason, but I mean, teamwork was better, coworkers were better, like attitudes were better.
I think that is the core reason. Like if it's a top down, right? Like a pyramid, that's the top reason, and everything else kind of trickles into place. Because it doesn't generate revenue like something like a private practice was. They only can pay a certain level of money per hour, right? So only a certain level of salary, which means they're only allowed to get a certain caliber of person. So it all kind of trickles down into the same thing. They're still the same people that need help. And you're talking about people that can't afford the private care. So there's only a certain level of people that are going in there and only a certain level of people willing to take care of them. It just all sucks. Like that should 100% be even across the field.
Yeah.
And it's just not. And realistically, how do you do that? I have a lot of opinions, but I don't have any answers.
Yeah, and that, I hate to have to say it, but that was also another reason that I left there. Because of the money that I was making. Because also at the time that I was working there, which was in Aurora. It was also in Aurora.
Yeah.
I had moved in with a guy I was dating at the time in Joliet.
Gross.
And so then I was driving from Joliet to Aurora.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, for this amount of money, like, it's not worth it. And so I was like, it's, starting to look for...
Yeah, it's funny to think, though, because realistically, Joliet's 2 towns over, and it's not far until you have to actually drive there, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to get there.
And we were, like, on the far side of Joliet, so we were, like, on the New
Crest
Lenox...
Hill? Oh, New Lenox?
On the New Lenox side of
Even
Joliet.
worse.
So we were, like... on the outskirts of Joliet.
Yeah. New Lenox is very gridded, though. It's like a nice... It almost looks like graph paper if you look at it on a map. But I hate New Lenox also. And Joliet.
From what I understand... I haven't been there in a long time, but from what I understand, it's gone downhill.
You didn't have far to go.
But I also haven't really lived in that area for over 10 years.
But your current job is in Joliet.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The job that I started... Yeah, I actually started the job I'm at now when we were still living in that house in Joliet.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then 3 months later, I left that relationship and
Is that when you went
Boulder
on...
Hill.
You went back to where?
Boulder Hill.
Okay, back home?
Yeah, back home.
Okay. Damn, so you've been at your current job for a long ass time.
Yeah, this in August it'll be 10 years.
Oh, you're just an overachiever everywhere, right? Is this your favorite job you've had, though?
Oh,
It'd be weird.
I can count all the jobs that I've had on one hand.
I say you've had 4 jobs. I can't believe it's crazy that you got your full certification in CNA, did it twice, and we're like, I get it, and then went to other job.
Well, when I was living in Joliet and driving to Aurora and was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I was like, I'm gonna look for something closer to home.
Right.
But it was also at that time where I'm like, I don't want to do CNA anymore.
I'm also curious.
Because it's like with CNA, there's no room for advancement unless you go like full blown RN.
I say you have to do a lot more schooling.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for a lot more stuff.
Yeah, and I'm way too high strong to be registered. like literally, like I joke about it, and I'm just like, if somebody has a fever, I'm like, go to the hospital.
Yeah, but then also, so in that time, because we had mentioned that you kind of went into CNA to be able to help your mom more, also. So she's sick during that time as well, right?
This was after.
After
She passed.
Okay, so which was that was did that feel like a pivotal point in your life? Obviously, that's a big deal, but like it's different for everybody, right? Like I just said on the show like last episode when my dad died, me and my sister were like, we could breathe, and it was like a sigh of relief and a huge weight off our shoulders. But you were close to your mom.
Towards the end, we were getting a lot closer because it's like towards the end, it's like I was finally realizing like mom isn't the enemy.
Right.
Whereas like, high school, like, you're a teenage girl, it's like, and, my mom was an only child.
If there's one thing I get, it's being a teenage girl.
And she was always like the more overprotective one.
Sure.
And, it was always like, be home at midnight.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Mom, I'm 21.
Yeah. My mom still tries to play, like, she's so checked out from being a mom for the last, like, 30 years, but also once in a while she can't help it.
Yeah, like, it kind of got to a point where I'm like, I'm not going to be home at midnight, don't wait up.
Yeah.
Because she would always be like, well, if you're not going to be home at midnight, call me.
Right.
And so it's like before I would even leave the house, like, not going to be home at midnight.
Right.
See you in the morning.
But when she was, what was she sick with?
It was either shortly before I was born or shortly after. So like early 80s, Crohn's disease.
Oh, so she had a degenerative disease in general, and just started catching up with her in the mid 2000s there.
Yeah, and it just overall started affecting her kidneys, and
you feel like that made it easier though, like from your perspective, to kind of let not that you guys had that bumping heads in the first place, but let that shit go. Where it's like, okay, this is reality's happening. There's no point in holding on to this anymore. Did you feel that at all?
I think this might have even like started happening before she was like officially like end stage renal failure.
Yeah, because I was saying, like you said, she's had it for pretty near 30 years.
Yeah, and like the treatments and medications that were available in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Her body just didn't respond to.
Right.
And so it was just kind of like, at that point, just like treating a cold. Like when something comes up, treat the symptom.
Deal with it. Yeah, that's unfortunate because that's how medicine is in general. But did you feel like you used any of your CNA training to help her?
I didn't do that until after she had passed.
Oh, because you decided to after. Okay. Sounds like your call to arms.
Yeah, I guess.
So you did it and you're like, this is not fun.
Well, it's not that I didn't enjoy what I did. It was very gratifying.
Yeah, it's got to be rewarding as hell.
But
sometimes, but there's a lot to it that people don't talk about, right? Yeah. A lot of growth stuff they have to deal with, like you have to bathroom people, you have to clean up bathroom that didn't make it to the bathroom. Like there's a lot to that job. That like it's one of those jobs that if you don't love it, you don't get into it.
Yeah, and it's not that I didn't love it. I really liked what I did.
Sure.
It was just like you said earlier, very hard on your body.
Yeah. And
it got to that point where I every day I would wake up, I'm like, I'm so sore.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I'm in my early 30s now doing this just fine. But if this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, like, am I going to be able to do this when I'm 45?
Right.
55? Like, no. And then it got me thinking, like, well, how do I advance? You don't unless you become a registered nurse.
Yeah.
And so it was just a lot of things that was like, you need to figure your shit out. I feel like,
too, plus as a CNA, you're kind of like the first line of defense, but you're also treated like less than because you're not an RN or anything quote unquote important, right?
Depending on where you work.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first place that I was at, I feel like definitely would have been that way. But the second place, I mean, the nurses were great. Yeah. I mean, the nurses were not afraid to, if a call light went off, they would go get it.
Yeah.
Like they weren't afraid to do like the same things that we did.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like to think that in general, nurses are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're not all bad. I get that they have their own set of things to do and their own set of stresses to deal with.
Sure. There's weird things, too, about, like, rules of who's allowed to do what and who's not. Like, and it's very important. But when you're living it, you're like, this is so stupid. It needs to be done, but you can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. My mom worked at the county home in DeKalb, and it was the same thing where, like, she was only an activities aide. And she would end up feeding people and having to do this, all this stuff that she's wildly not supposed to do, but nobody's doing it. So like you said, it's county, so nobody really gives a shit. And my mom's got that that mother mentality where like think about things, shit just has to be done. We just have to, like, there's nothing to talk about, we're doing it. And so she would just do it. That's crazy. Like I couldn't imagine having a family member in there and just being like, yep, this is run fine. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know one of the big things was CNAs were not allowed to give medication. And some of the residents had, like, medicated, like, lotions. Like, if it was prescribed by a doctor, we couldn't do it.
Right.
A nurse had to do it.
Yeah. Lotion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like lotions or creams.
Yeah. That's crazy. You said you lived with a boy?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately?
Yeah, that was we all have lapses in judgment.
Do we?
Yeah. I mean, it started out fine.
Don't they always?
It started out great, but then it just all, like, very quickly went downhill.
Now, you say quickly. How long did you guys live together?
The same weekend that I moved in was the same weekend I moved out a year later.
Really?
And I only remember that because it was the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, though, to be like, all right, we bookended this exact 1 year. You're awful.
Yeah, we were together for a year, a little over a year, before we decided to move in together.
Yeah, but it's like a whole different, like, ballgame when you move in, right? Or was it already... Did you see the red flags beforehand?
No. I mean, looking back on it, I'm like, red flags, right from the very beginning.
Retrospect, it's easy. Like, obviously then you didn't, but like now you can look back and be like, oh, that first year, I don't know why I even did that.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, we were together for a little over a year, and then we moved in together. And then a couple of months in, it just... I mean, I don't even want to say it was like little things he did that like bothered me or anything like that. It was just like he just completely shifted.
Really?
I just like almost became a different person. Just almost like checked out of the relationship.
That's so weird. Like, why bother being in a relationship in the first place? Like, it almost feels like you're putting on a facade, and then when you have this stupid idea where you're like, I got him now they live here. Now I don't have to give a shit at all.
And that's why I stayed as long as I did, to be honest, because I'm like, great, now I signed a lease with this guy, so what do we do?
Is that the only time you've lived with a partner?
Yeah. Yep.
Smart. But you guys dated for 2 years then?
Yeah.
Is that the longest relationship you've had?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I remember relationships.
I mean, I've dated like here and there, but nothing that ever really amounted to anything, I guess,
Yeah.
serious enough to be sustained for 2 years or more.
Yeah. Do you do the dating apps?
Yeah.
Are you like all of us were like off and on because you're like these are so stupid and garbage.
Yep.
And then a couple months later,
Delete.
you're like
2 months later,
Yeah.
you're like,
Like,
guess we're gonna make a new profile.
right, where else am I gonna meet somebody? And it's like it gets worse every time.
It really does.
It feels that way for sure.
It's kind of abysmal out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like.
Well, I don't want to say out there, but
Yeah, on the internet. Yeah, out there is probably fine. That's what I was gonna get to is, realistically, like, what do you do that puts you in front of people, potential, even just friends or anything, like, you know?
yeah, and I don't like attention on me, so I'm not gonna be that person
What
to
do you
like
mean by that?
make myself stick out.
Yeah. It's interesting how you said that, because I'm very bored. I feel like I'm everything that stereotypical girls hate on a dating site, because like it's what they get bombarded with from everybody. But I'm not like a bad dude. But like, how do you? Everybody talks that they hate small talk. I hate small talk too. But guess what? What the hell are you supposed to do besides starting a conversation with small talk that you can take somewhere else a little bit later? Right?
Yeah, and it's like how do you open a conversation with like a deep question?
Yeah, right.
Because it's like the person's either going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Or they're actually going to engage in that conversation.
Right. And even that, though, when that part's over, small talk.
Or they might like find the question, like whatever the question is, they might be like, I don't know, like that's a really intimidating question.
Right. Why would you even ask me that? I agree with that. Like, I feel like you need to build, because I love deep, heavy conversations. I don't want to start there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about you.
So you gotta test the waters.
It's almost like I don't want to waste my conversation until I know
Until it's gonna be worth it.
until I know you're worth like getting deep. Because some people are very surface, and that's fine. I often wish I was just a surface guy and didn't dwell and think about anything or like realize anything about the world. It was just like, man, everything's pretty good. That sounds awesome, but I'm not. But it's tough. But like I said, I don't. Where do you know? Mm-hmm. Nobody grocery shops anymore. You buy everything online. Like,
yeah, and like that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, people did it all the time, like before the internet.
right.
But then it's like you also kind of get to a certain age where it's like a very large portion of people your age are in relationships,
Yeah.
married, have
Right.
partners.
Well, you know, the good news for us now is everybody's getting divorced. Yes.
We're coming up on round 2.
Yeah, this is our round 2. If we don't do it now,
It's our time to shine.
if we don't get it now, we have to wait till our 60s and they're going through their second divorce. But you're just saying I don't have to deal with a couple of kids.
Yeah.
Have you dated guys with kids?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not a thought for you. It's
I mean, it really
depends on
doesn't
the
matter
guy,
to me.
depends on the kids, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, but
I mean, I've never been opposed to it, and it's like I guess now at our age, like whatever kids are there are gonna be like
30.
self-sufficient.
Yeah, most of them are going to be graduating college or off at college. That's true. It is weird when you talk to somebody that's our age and they have like a baby.
Oh my god.
Like the Dick Gans.
I mean, you know, people do things on their own pace at their own time.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I would not.
I'm actually impressed to see people our age
I would not want
having healthy kids and healthy pregnancies. Like, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's amazing and really cool. But I still want to make fun of them.
Yeah, I mean, I there's been a ton of people that have had children later in life around our age, but for me personally, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. Was there a time, you know, not to be a dick, but was there a time when you wanted kids? I thought you might have kids?
It did come up in discussion in a previous relationship.
Wait.
But
Wait. Not the one you lived with.
yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I said that's your longest relationship.
Yeah.
And that feels like it wasn't very solid to be talking about.
Yeah. And which adds to what I'm about to say is like every person that I've dated or been in a relationship with, it's like it never got to the point where I was like, I want to have kids with that guy.
Yeah.
You know, it was always like, still like unsure. And it's like, I'm not going to like start talking about having kids with a guy I've been dating for 6 months.
Sure. No, I'm with you.
It's like, I felt like in any other relationship, it either did not last long enough or just wasn't the type of person that I would want to have kids with.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like when I look back, like I've got an aversion to it in general from like the way I came up and everything like that, just being like, I'm definitely not doing that. But also the fact of like, I've never been with somebody so far where I felt comfortable enough to be like, okay, I could co-parent with this person. You know, because that's a whole different dynamic to a relationship. You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, I dated the same girl from like 7th grade until I was like 20. So like 14 to 20. So back then you're like, oh yeah, we'll get married after college. We'll have kids in a couple of years. Like, and you map your life out. And then when it gets there, you're like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do any of that at all.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it was very skewed, but it's like all I knew about like growing up, having kids, starting a family was what I saw my mom and dad do.
Right.
And my parents got married very young.
Yeah.
They had kids young. And so I'm like, okay, so when I'm 22, I'm already going to have 2 kids and own a house.
Right.
Be married, 2 kids, own a house.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Well, spend 20 years later and owning a house is a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all bad being a renter. I almost bought a house.
So I did buy a house and sold it within like 2.5 years and have zero interest in being a homeowner again. I am the rare guy who's like, I prefer to rent.
Yeah, it's I'm okay renting right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll buy a home. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you're down where you're at, it's a little different. So, because you're are you in Coal City?
Technically Diamond.
Or Diamond.
But if you address...
They're one town.
If you address something to my address in Coal City, it'll still get to me.
Because they're one town.
Because it's we're all the same zip code.
But that's got to be a trek to Joliet. I don't know if there's a lot of traffic.
It's just straight up 55.
Yeah, but 55 can be a nightmare. But I think it's when you're barely hitting the nightmare part, right? Or at all.
I feel like the nightmare parts were all like in the beginning couple years after I moved out there. Yeah, because when I first moved out there, they were redoing one bridge, and then they were the next season redoing a different bridge.
Yeah.
And it was like, just like the carryover.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done anything since.
You like it out there also, don't you?
Yes and no. If rent was not just completely bananas, honestly, I'd probably live somewhere else.
I say it's probably semi-reasonable out there.
Again, yes and no. Because for what I have now, if I want to go out somewhere and get something comparable, I'm going to be paying probably at least $500 more a month.
I say, because you've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom...
just 2-bedroom.
Just 2-bedroom?
Yeah, 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
Apartment?
Yeah.
Do you have a garage?
No.
No, just an apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you pay for that?
$960.
I can't tell you how many people just find like, oh my God.
But I moved in literally like 3 months before just the housing market, home prices blew up, rent blew up. I moved in right before.
Has it been raised since you've lived there, or are you just locked in? Okay, so you probably started even 8 or 7, and it's just gone up.
Well, it's only gone up twice, but I feel like it's going to go up a little more consistently every year now.
Yeah. No, well, it keeps,
Yeah, because the last raise for 2025 was based on current market prices.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's crazy. That does make it tough to leave. Because I like you said, comparable would be 500 plus. You're gonna need to keep going for this kind of an area like Oswego, all the way out to here in Geneva, like even Aurora. I don't feel like you're gonna even touch anything like that. Because Walsh was looking for a house or apartment for a long time, And he couldn't find anything. He had to go all the way out to Naperville to find anything that he could afford.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a roommate, like if I moved in with somebody, like totally doable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of nice
Yeah.
living alone.
It is. I'm
always, not opposed to maybe
Yeah.
at some point ever getting a roommate.
It's
but...
funny to me too because as we're getting older, like it becomes more taboo to have a roommate. Like it's like we're in our mid-40s now. It's like, oh, this is my roommate.
Early 40s.
Sure. But I think it's not. I didn't like living alone until I did. But I like living with somebody. I like having my own space, obviously. Like, I need somewhere that I can go and recharge and fuck off from the world. But I also like the common space, like, because I like to talk. Mm-hmm. I like to chat and, like, you know, what did you do today? Or, you know, how was your day? Like, just in a friendly manner, you know, and stuff like that. But I also don't like to wear clothes.
Yeah, in my very rare extroverted moments, I'm like, man, living alone sucks. But then, like, my more often introverted moments, I'm like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna bother me.
Right.
I'm gonna be by myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close the blinds,
Yeah.
sit in silence, just exist.
Do you sit in silence?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
Yeah, that's true. Depends on how the day went.
Yeah, just like today at work, it was just very an overstimulating day.
Really?
Yeah.
What was different about today?
Oh, it was just I don't even know. Like, I can't explain it. I don't even know why it was the way it was, but it was just everything seemed to take forever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can you not?
That's funny you said, because you remember before we got on, I was like, I feel weird today. And I feel like that's almost like the same thing where, like, everything is just kind of dragging out and making me not want to do it.
Yeah, it's just, I can't even explain what it was today. Just everything that came across my desk was just like, it's going to take you 40 minutes to do a 5-minute task.
Yeah. I kind of prefer that, though. It makes the day go faster.
Yeah, for sure it did.
Yeah.
It did. But it was still just annoying when you know that your productivity is usually higher.
Plus, don't you work Monday through Friday, like 7
Yeah.
to 3:30?
Yeah, 7 to 3:30.
It's like the best schedule. The only better is 6 to 2:30.
Yeah, it's nice. The trade-off for waking up and going to work so early is having the rest of the afternoon off.
Yeah, I love it. When I worked at the factory, I had to be there at 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And then I would only have to work until 3 in the afternoon. I was on salary, so of course they milk you 12 hours a day. Do you think, do you remember going to the prom?
Yes. Vaguely.
Vaguely?
Yes.
I feel like I only remember it because I have all the photographs. But that senior year, we rented a limo.
Yes, we did.
Everybody was in white, except for Kim.
I had light blue.
Was it light blue?
Yeah, it was light blue.
It looked white. Maybe because everybody else was in white. That's crazy. Do you ever... I said you and I were sourpusses in the beginning. But do you ever look back at that, like... Do you remember having a good time? Like, honestly. Or do you remember just kind of being like... You go because your friends wanted to go. You go because you feel obligated. Like, it's just... It's like socially you have to or whatever.
I don't recall. And again, it's over half our lives ago.
Don't say that.
But I mean, having just a good enough time for it to stand out and stay with me for all these years, no.
Sure. Right.
But I don't want to say I had a terrible time.
Sure.
It was just kind of a thing that you did, like,
Yeah.
you know, all your friends are going.
Right.
You're going to go to. It's senior year, whatever. It's what you do.
Yeah. Because I remember I'm building to a bigger point about myself that I'm curious if you can relate to. Is like when I think back to that and a lot of stuff that I did, because like I said, I was lucky enough to have a girlfriend for 6 years during all that time, but I feel like I was I don't want to say ungrateful, but like such an unwilling participant. You know what I mean? Like,
you just showed up.
Exactly. Like
you just showed up and went through the motions.
And that's the thing is, like, I showed up, and I was glad everybody was having a good time, but I was not participating in the good time. And you know, even to my friends and to my girlfriend at the times, much whatever, I don't even know how to say it, but lucky for me, even they let me be how I was gonna be, and it didn't seem to deter their good time.
Yeah,
which is great. Because what a wet blanket to carry around. But like I've been thinking about that, not like prom in general, that just happens to be our shared memory, but moments like that in general throughout my life where I clearly decided not to show up, right? Like I'm there physically, but like, you know, to a certain extent I've always been combative of people trying to lead me in directions or making me feel a certain way. You know what I mean? So now I feel like I'm like, okay, so you missed out on all this stuff. Nice work, dickhead. Like, you really just did nothing but, you know, ruin it for yourself. Do you ever feel anything like that when you look back at those times and be like, you know, maybe I was didn't have the right mindset, or I was just like, whatever mentally we had going on at that time, and not really appreciating. I think it's just a part of getting old in general, but like not appreciating it for what it was at the time. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, nothing, I guess nothing in particular, but I think just looking back in life from like where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I mean, even like my 20s, 30s, you know, just like having the attitude and the mindset that I had.
Yeah.
Like from where I am now, I'm just like, well, you kind of like created it for yourself.
Sure. Like, cause I feel like you've never been, there was a time after high school we kind of lost touch, and then randomly I was living with a different girlfriend and you showed up, and then we've stayed we've stayed friends since. I was like, oh yeah, we used to be friends. Let's keep doing that. But yeah, it's I find it fascinating to kind of explore that space because it is different now. Like, even to be able to look back on that and think that, I think shows huge growth. And like clearly that we've evolved some way. It makes me curious what we're going to be like next year, you know, and as time goes forward, because I think we're on a path to constantly improve, right? Did you come to those conclusions on your own, or were you kind of led into that?
I would say for sure I had some help.
Yeah.
It was, so like I had just moved out to where I'm at now, and you know, I was like, because after I left that relationship, that just put me in a whole mess of debt, and just had to get a bunch of money stuff sorted out, and paid off my car, and just like made sure that I was at a point where I could do it by myself.
Right.
I didn't have to have anybody else there to share expenses with me.
Right.
So it's like I paid off my car, I paid off all my debt, I rented a storage unit, and I just started like buying things that I was gonna need. Like I had furniture, household items, just anything and everything that you would need to like move out on your own.
Yeah.
And so it was 2009. It was spring of 2019 when I moved out to where I'm at now. And I was just like, you know, excited, like, oh, I'm out on my own. I'm doing this by myself. I don't have to rely on anyone. Like, new place, like, new surroundings. I was like, I'm going to do all the things. And then 2020 happened.
Even with that, even with just all that new everything, do you also give you a sense of, I can be whoever I want to be now? Or were you content with who you were? Like, where you're like, you know, maybe you have never been as social in the past, and you're like, I want to try that. Or did you feel a new, but not a new version of yourself, but a new opportunity to show off who you were? Or were you content with who you were at that point?
I mean, a little bit of both, I guess. Like, I was content with who I was at that time, but being in a new place with or like a new area, a new city with new places to go would give me that opportunity to like be who I am to other people.
Because I feel like there's moments we could look in at various times of your life where you would never move to a strange place and then go to local places, like not maybe just to see friends, but to be part of the community. Like that might have been terrifying at certain points of your life. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's insane. Like that's huge. We say you talk to a professional and they kind of work through that, or you just kind of
I go to therapy.
Yeah.
Because 2020, like depression has always been like up and down, like throughout my whole life, like on and off antidepressants throughout the years.
Do you feel you've always had depression? Like, can you point to a maybe not the exact moment, but like a time when you're like, I'm noticing this now?
Very young.
Right.
Not in the sense of like 10 years old, but like definitely like teenager age.
Yeah, where you're like, I feel different and I can't explain it. Yeah.
So like I'm finally like on my own and, you know, wanting to do all the things. And then 2020 happens, like everything shuts down. Nobody can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like stuck in this apartment by myself.
Did you feel it? So being out there in the sticks, did you feel it that way? Did it shut down? Because like in DeKalb, nothing changed.
Oh, what was really wild is because I'm like right on the border of Grundy County and Will County.
Yeah.
And during like the whole shutdown or like when things like reopened, like bars and stuff, but they had to be like, outdoors and certain counties had to close at a certain time because of the numbers.
I've blocked so much of that from my
like
brain.
Literally
I cannot remember. I can't believe what we went through.
Since we're like right on the border of Grundy County and Will County, like we would start at a bar in Will County. They would close at 10. All the bars in Grundy County are still open.
Yeah.
So it's like we would drive like 5 minutes away and like be at a different bar that's open till still like 2 a.m.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it was just wild and like none of it made sense. But yeah, it's like, so then everything shut down. Couldn't go anywhere. And I was like stuck in this apartment like with just me and my thoughts.
Right.
Which didn't really serve me very well.
I say, did you feel like it a bit of a nosedive?
Absolutely.
I feel like things kind of ebb and flow.
It was just like on an upswing, and then it was like everything's closing down, and then it's like a very
because all those things
very steep
all those things can affect you, and like while you might not be a sociable person, what you consider your normal level of socialness is gone. Like it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and it was just, it tanked pretty quickly. And like it just got to a point where I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to continue doing what I'm doing, but I don't know what to do to change it.
Right.
And so early 2021 is when I started therapy.
Yeah.
And I still see the same therapist.
Nice, but it seems you've done a lot, like, you know, which is great. It's supposed to do. Do you? I'm always curious though too. Like, do you think is therapy a forever thing? Because a lot of these things don't have a solution. They're just things that come up, and you can get, you know, everybody has a toolbox, right? And you put the right tools in your toolbox to be able to handle things as they come up, and you have your go-to tool for whatever you're feeling at that moment. Do you think that there's a point where you have the tools you need, or do you think that there's always going to be a need to talk to a separate person to kind of wade through these things?
I can only speak for myself.
Sure.
When I first started going, I went once a week. And then it got to a point where I was like, I'm feeling pretty, like, I feel like I've improved a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like I've changed and grown. And so I started going every other Wednesday. Yeah. And then, sometimes like, I'm still going every other Wednesday. And it gets to a point sometimes where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to like talk with about my therapist today. I'm like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've actually considered doing, like, every 3 weeks instead of every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think, like, I guess maintenance appointments would always be a thing.
Right.
But depending on the person, how well they respond, how much they grow, like, I mean, if they feel that they're good and they don't need it anymore, then that's great for them. But
where do you think the growth part is coming in? Like, because realistically, you're sitting down with a therapist, and like you just mentioned, some like lately you don't have things. Sometimes there's nothing to really talk about, which proves the point that usually there is. That there's something in your brain already that you're like, I need to talk about this, right? And so it ends up just being a conversation. Because you're not seeing a psychiatrist, you're seeing a therapist.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're on pills or anything like that, or there's any kind of potential whatever diagnosis. It's just a conversation with a professional, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think the health part of that is, like, that's helping? Is it just the act of conversating? Are they offering you things, and like when they say things, is it just a different, like a separate opinion where you're like, damn, I didn't even think of it that way? Or are you kind of coming to these things on your own and they're kind of just guiding you?
A little bit of both. Like I've learned to more effectively, like, look at, I guess, look in the gray instead of like black or white,
Right.
like it is or it isn't. Like, look in that middle area.
Yeah.
A big one for me was letting go of things I can't control.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Journaling has helped me come to a couple of epiphanies, and I've like...
I'm an advocate for journaling, but here's the thing. I hate journaling. I do think that it's incredibly valuable. I do think that it will bring you places you didn't think it would. But just personally, I cannot stand journaling. But it is an amazing tool to have in the toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like in the beginning, like when my thoughts were just still like all over the place.
Yeah.
It's
real
really
good for scattered thoughts.
It really helped because then I could like focus.
Yeah.
On one at a time and work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
But now I used to do it a lot. I still am not opposed to doing it, but I haven't done it recently. Yeah. Because I haven't felt at a place where I feel like I need to.
Right. Well, that's the beauty of having those tools. Like, it's there if you need it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're at a place now mentally where you can feel when you'll need it, as opposed to being overwhelmed and having somebody recommend it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. That's pretty good. What do you want to do next? Like, what do you think? Are we on cruise control? We'll just stay in Coal City dining?
Well, I mean, for the time being, I have to. I mean, I want to, well, because rent.
I mean, you could piss off to Montana. It's probably cheap there.
Well, yeah,
and
but then I'm going to have to find a new job.
And then it's also, then you have to live in Montana.
Then I'm leaving my dad behind.
Yeah. Do you think you're kind of tied here? Not tied, like stuck, but like want to stay here because of your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But one of the things you mentioned about being a CNA was that there was no room for growth. What does that growth look like at your position now?
Well, where I'm at now...
What's your actual position? What's your actual position?
I'm a biller.
So you went from... What were you doing before?
When I very first started, I'm doing what I do now for one of our other stores, which consists of every car sale that comes through, every car that we sell. After you go in the office, like sign all the paperwork with the finance guy, all of that paperwork comes up to me. Yeah. And so, like, if you trade your car in and you still owed money on it, like, I pay it off. It's pretty much like looking at the cost, like things that what owning the vehicle cost us
Yeah.
versus what we sold it to you for. The profits and the losses. Like if you buy an extended warranty, profits on that. Gosh, it's now that I have to actually say like everything I do. I just do it.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't think about it. Yeah.
But that's the main part is just like with every car sale, vehicle sale, just making sure it gets posted on our books where it needs to be posted.
Yeah.
And accounted for.
Right.
But I have also done, oh gosh, like a lot of other things. Like vehicles that we purchase from auction, that we purchase from people off the street, making sure that those get paid for, posted into our accounting, put on our books. New vehicles that are on order, assigning those stock numbers, getting them put into our system. When they get delivered to the lot, again, making sure all the cost gets put on the books.
Yeah. That's wild. Like, cause that's the kind of office job I wish I had. If I was going to work in an office, like, I feel like I'd be like, I could probably just do this job at home. And I would rather that.
I mean, to an extent, yes. It's available to do at home, but
Is that true?
Well, when COVID came through the office, like,
you worked at home?
Everybody.
Yeah.
like if you were out, like, you worked from home.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you go back?
Because everything is in Joliet.
Or your house.
Well, no, because like all the paperwork that I need is in Joliet.
And how did you even work from home?
I still drove out there
Oh,
in the
okay.
morning and picked up stuff that came through, took that home, did it, and then again, like, brought the stuff I finished back the next day.
That would piss me off more.
Well, it was either that or not do anything.
Right. I feel like I'm already here. I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah,
real quick.
it's either that or come back to a week of work piled up on your desk.
Yeah, I mean,
And I would have otherwise been making that trip anyways.
I suppose that's true. Still, if you can work at home, I feel like that's better. For some people it doesn't work.
I get a little distracted at home.
Do you?
Yeah. I think a big part of it is because I don't have like a set workspace. Like my laptop is either like on the coffee table or at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And it's just like papers are everywhere.
Now, didn't I hear correctly? There's a whole spare bedroom.
Yes.
You can buy a desk for like $40.
I could.
No, you should make a little office.
I've actually considered that. I've
A little
thought about that
photography
before.
studio. Photography studio office.
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe you get your life together.
Finally get my shit together at 42.
There you go. Hey, some of us aren't even trying. But I've been that. So it sounds like your position is critical in general. It doesn't sound like there's a lot there's not a lot of room for growth in your job now. So I'm curious why, as a CNA, it felt stifling. But here, is it just because it's a more important position overall? Like you said, it's critical as opposed to I'm just a CNA.
Well, I mean, I've moved to different positions. So, like, I've done different things in the office.
Okay.
And I can't speak for the future, but...
Can't or won't?
I can't.
Why not?
Because it's not my future to determine.
It's unwritten. Well, you can have an idea of what you'd like to see, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a really great company to work for. I'm very happy there. The people I work for are great. The people I work with are great.
Yeah.
It's just
10 years, I've heard, coming up.
Yes, I think in August.
Yeah, that's a long time. Longest job I ever had is like 4 years. That was like by a lot. Other than that, it's like 2 at the most. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it's a really great place to work for. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about your personal life?
What about my personal life?
Do we want to speculate wildly about that future?
Um,
I think you're a wonderful one day at a time person.
yeah.
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 Which is probably better. Like, I think it's healthy to have goals and it's fine, but there's also a line of like not wanting to put pressure on yourself and give yourself anxiety about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like even though I know there's no wrong or right way to set a goal,
Sure.
I overthink it, and I'm just like, I think of something dumb like, oh, I'm not gonna buy coffee this week. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll be like, well, that's dumb.
Why is it dumb? Why did you think of it in
And
the
that's
first
that's
place?
it. I can't explain why it's dumb. I'm just like, that's stupid. That's not a goal.
If you say I
I have this expectation that I guess goals for myself have to be like grand and huge and like a big accomplishment.
not buying. Do you buy coffee all the time?
Not as much as I used to, but
So not buying it for a week is a big deal.
true.
So that.
And that's one of the things too. It's like small things are still accomplishments.
Well, it's realistically the idea of it being small is so subjective, right? Like you're looking at it from your point of view. You're deciding if it's important or not.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. It's like I guess maybe it's putting like a weight on myself that like your goals have to make you a better person.
Right.
So it's like if it's not making you a better person or it's not doing this big great thing, then it's not, then it's not a goal. It's just something that you're doing. And I don't know why. It's
Well,
I think it's because I hold myself to probably an unrealistic standard.
Yeah, you're incredibly hard on yourself in holding yourself to an absurd standard. Where do you suppose that comes from?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just wanting to be what I think people want me to be.
Mm-hmm. What do people want you to be?
And I said, I don't know.
Right. Well, you have you have.
So I just kind of like observe.
Well, but you
and
have
like,
a subconscious idea of what they want you to be, right? Now you might not be in tune with that because your subconscious is protecting you from it.
Well, okay, I guess. Well, maybe now that I'm like talking about it out loud, maybe if what I'm doing, they're not responding to it the way that I think they should.
Sure.
Then I'm like, oh well, you have to do something different then.
You have to pivot.
Yeah.
Right. Do you find yourself ever acting different around different people? Because it's like in the same vein of wanting to do things, like people expect a certain thing from you. So you either want to give it to them or not. And that could change your behavior, right?
It could. But overall, I feel like I'm the same person with everybody. It's just, I guess, the level of me.
Ooh, the
Like,
level of you.
like, I mean, there's things that I'll do, just like stupid, silly things with
Sure.
like some people, but I won't do it with
Right.
other people.
No, I'm with you. It's
Or I
one-
might not do it
yeah.
at first. It's like maybe 30 minutes in, I'll
I'm
do
with you.
something.
It's one thing
I'll,
to, like,
I'll do
vibe.
something weird.
It's one thing to just vibe with a couple people and chill. It's another thing like when you're out like partying and having a time, like you might be a little more loose-lipped and crazy, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is normal. You're still the same person at your core. But as far as putting all this pressure on yourself and not knowing where it comes from, I think that, there's definitely an idea in there somewhere of you have to be something. Somewhere in your subconscious, there's an idea of what you think you're supposed to be, and you don't feel that you're living up to that. So I wonder where that was written. And that might go back to the same teenage years you're talking about when you started feeling not right. Because that's when you decided this and realized that you're not living up to that, or felt like you're not living up to that then. And that's been the whole up and down since.
Yeah, I guess in my adulthood, more recently, it shifted between what I have and then what I have to offer.
What do you mean?
Like, I guess by what I have, I mean, I guess like where I'm at in life.
So what's something that you have? For instance, what's something that you have?
Like anything at all.
You just said I have what I have or what I offer. What's something you have?
I don't know how to answer the question. Let me finish.
Okay.
Because maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Sure.
But meaning like at a certain point in my life, I felt like I should have more than what I have.
Okay.
And then once I became okay, and I don't want to say shortcoming in a bad way, but falling short of that expectation, it then turned into, well, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I have in my life. This is how far I've come.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
And then it's like, what do I have to offer?
It's not falling short of an expectation. It's
my own expectation.
Well, but it's realizing that you don't need that in the first place. Otherwise, you'd have it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Sure.
But
now, what we just did is that's just a different perspective. You want to look at it stereotypically negative or somewhat positive, like, you know. And I don't think you're not doing that on purpose, but that's would be an example of what that is, like. Because even that, so basically, you say, what's something that you don't have that you thought you should or would by now?
I mean, I guess like owning an actual home.
Sure. But we also talked about how it's
Yeah,
not necessarily a good thing.
Like a partner, you know,
Yeah.
like maybe not a husband, but
Sure.
like a long-term partner.
Yeah.
But again, that also goes back to what we talked about earlier with what I knew, how I knew to plan my future was based on what I seen with my parents, because
Yeah.
that's all I knew.
Right.
Like
Well,
I thought that was the normal thing.
Right, because I think there's the flip side where you're genuinely an inspiration that you don't see it because you've lived it, but you're this self-made person that has all her own stuff and fucked the world. Like you did that. You busted your ass to do that, and that's awesome. And you've had partners along the way. Like I understand what you mean by no long-term partner. But and we as humans want everything to last forever, right? We hope it'll last forever. But you've had partners along the way. They might not have gone the way you were hoping, but you still built yourself into this amazing person now. And it's had to go every step along that way has done that, and you've taken advantage of it in such an amazing way that you're this person that sits here now. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Hey, I don't even do nothing. If anything, I've probably made it worse. But I think that's a good place to leave, because that's true stuff. Like, and that's real. And that's not to downplay, you know, wanting a partner or having goals or anything like that. Those are all still very valid. But don't overlook what you've done and where you're at, actually, because it's pretty impressive. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming out and talking to me. I appreciate it. We've been friends a long time.
We have.
Probably too long. Probably take a break.
Go on hiatus.
Yeah.